Good morning and welcome back to Mojo Espresso, a caffeine-inspired shot of inspiration and perspective to help you on your Friday with the goal to win the morning and win the day. A reminder, a masterclass on September the 29th, which is based around how to reduce anxiety and how to own your story during a pandemic. Now, it's a ticketed event and also a limited event, so go on our website to register, and remember, it's free for all the Mojo app subscribers currently doing our personal leadership course. Now, a big shout out to all the Paralympians, a magnificent performance, and they're currently in quarantine en route home, and I look forward to chatting to you all later on at lunchtime today. And an even bigger shout out to the family of Gavin Larkin, who is the founder of Are You OK Day, which was yesterday. Gavin passed away about 10 years ago, but it's so cool to see his legacy live on today. His goal was to stop a little problem from turning into a big one, and was born out of very small acts of kindness, simply asking, are you okay? Which is actually part of our theme today. So to today's theme, and it's actually one for all the anthropologists out there, which I'm guessing aren't many, but this episode could actually blow your mind, as it did mine when researching it, because for over 150 years, the world has interpreted Charles Darwin's theory of evolution as survival of the fittest. But in recent decades, a deeper dive into Darwin's research has identified that survival of the kindest is more correct at explaining which species climb the evolutionary ladder. Yes? Can someone please tell the media industry this? Yeah, why doesn't the whole world know this by now? Admittedly, we don't study anthropology and human behavior, but we are living as humans. And this intel is pretty bloody important right now, especially in a pandemic, as to who will thrive during these times and who won't. According to Darwin and other biologists, cooperation is more important than competition. Yeah, and then wait for it, compassion is the reason for both the human race's survival and our ability to thrive as a species. Kindness, compassion, cooperation. Yeah, who knew? Yeah, we survive because of this instinctive capacity to care for each other and those in need. Now, it's not saying that the fittest and strongest or selfish or ruthless play no part in evolution. Yeah, in sport and business competition, it's pretty important. It's just that compassion and kindness and cooperation play greater roles in community. A modern day translation of this is, we need to stop being so bloody judgmental and opinionated and negative, and stop this us versus them, yeah, country folk versus city folk, or state versus state bullshit. We're all Australians, and the kindest communities prosper. Yeah, if you're playing in a sporting team or you're in a workplace, yeah, or the whole country, Charles Darwin says the groups made up of self-interested people will fail more than they succeed. Yeah, in contrast, groups made up of compassionate people will succeed more than they fail. Yeah, because members of the selfish group are looking out only for themselves. Yeah, if others fall, it strengthens their own survival. This classic self-interest versus social interest. Yeah, so they don't have mates and they don't reproduce, and the species die out, because you have to reproduce to survive as a species. No point being the strongest if you don't have friends. Yeah, because friends help us survive. And this is where we need to change our perspective right now in this pandemic, because in communities, it's survival of the kindest who will be the ultimate winners. But here's the thing. Before being kind to others, we need to be kind to ourselves first. Yeah, self-compassion. So the first thing you need to do is buy yourself some scissors and cut yourself some slack. And a shout out to all the Ted Lasso fans out there, because here's the thing. We've got to be kinder and gentler with ourselves first before we be kind to others. Often when the conditions suck, like pandemics, we often confuse this is bad with I am bad, or this sucks with I suck. But you've done nothing wrong. You didn't create the pandemic. It's not your fault. So we've got to be kinder and gentler to ourselves first. The greatest form of acceptance is self-acceptance. The greatest form of compassion is self-compassion. Yeah, as Buddha said, you can search the entire universe for someone who is more deserving of your love and affection than you are yourself. And guess what? You'll never find him or her, because you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserves your love and affection first. So what are some simple ways you can be kinder and gentler to yourself? Well, first one is just practice gratitude and focus on what you've got rather than bitching and moaning for what you haven't got. That's the first step to win the morning and win the day. The second is just to forgive yourself when you make a mistake today. I'm imperfect, yeah, I'm full of struggle, and that's okay. The third step is just to accept yourself unconditionally, yeah, and we stop comparing ourselves and stop judging ourselves and stopping all this interference when we can just accept ourselves unconditionally. The fourth one is to practice your courage mantras. If you don't have a courage mantra, definitely do our mindset course. But in the meantime, probably just say to yourself, whatever I achieve today or don't achieve today, I am enough. Yeah, whatever I achieve this year, whatever I achieve this lifetime or don't achieve this lifetime, I am enough. Yeah, or maybe just start today with a to-be list rather than a to-do list. Yeah, because whatever words you write down, you can control those 100%, and that can become your expectations, and it stops the pressure of all this productivity and execution. Self-compassion is a superpower right now, but unfortunately, it's counterintuitive, so we don't even try. So today, give it a go. Yeah, what's one thing I can do today to be kinder to myself? Now, here's an even better reason to be kinder to yourself. Self-compassion is the antidote to procrastination. That's right, it actually helps us perform. And who doesn't procrastinate? Yeah, the reason we procrastinate primarily is the fear of failure, the fear of criticism, or this perfection myth, right? But here's the thing, self-compassion frees us from each of these. Once we realize that, we actually learn from failure. So making mistakes and reminding ourselves we're all imperfectly human actually kickstarts us. Permission to have a crack, yeah? Knowing you may not get it right, and that's okay. One of the biggest misconceptions of self-compassion is that it undermines motivation. People fear that being kinder and gentler to themselves will make them lazy, or they fear losing their ambitious drive and competitive edge. But the opposite is true. Self-compassion creates emotional resilience. And here's the thing, self-compassionate people fear failure less, yeah? And when they do face setbacks, they're more likely to try again. So the next time you find yourself procrastinating, practice being kind to yourself. Once we are compassionate to ourselves, then we can be compassionate to others. And this is when the fun starts. Now, yesterday was Are You OK Day, as we said, and it's a brilliant human kindness initiative to check in on each other. And it's one of my favorite acronyms. But my second favorite acronym is RAOK, and that stands for Random Acts of Kindness. Yeah, and one of the best ways to win the morning, win the day is simply to ask yourself, how can I be the best part of someone else's day today? And random acts of kindness is actually the solution. Yeah, so start with someone you know and then move to someone you don't know. It might be sending a care package to a year 12 boy or girl who's struggled through 2 bloody years of COVID schooling and just needs a chop out of their favourite lollies or chocolates. Or it might be making biscuits, Ted Lasso style, for your boss or colleague or parent or partner. Or maybe just find a reason to say thank you to 5 different people you know right now and then text them. Or it might be mowing your neighbour's lawn tomorrow morning. Or simply writing a love letter to a friend or a family member. Or it might be someone you don't know. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. Maybe just compliment the very first stranger that you run into today. Just start small. We're called Mojo Espresso. My favourite one is what's called Pay It Backward, where you buy the person behind you a coffee without telling them, yeah, and then watch the impact that it has on them and you for the rest of the day. Yeah, I'd say give someone a hug when we're allowed to, of course, but a few years ago, a New York Yankees baseballer named Cameron Maybin actually made random acts of kindness famous within Major League Baseball. He started giving random hugs in the dugout, yeah, and after each home run, players would walk through the dugout and getting their high fives. Then at the end of the dugout, they get one last reward, a massive hug from Cameron. Now, this random act of kindness took off the entire stadium. Fans started hugging each other randomly and even started making T-shirts to commemorate this new baseball tradition born out of kindness. Kindness is contagious. Yeah, it's probably the best contagion right now. One of the reasons we're not being kind is the media industry, and we're getting sucked into this negative opinions with these opinions and judgments and creating this awful clickbait cocktail of cortisol and controversy, and it's deliberately created that way. So we got to get off these media platforms and write our own headline today based on kindness. It might be woman buys coffee for teenage couple behind her, or it might be father gives son the biggest hug he's ever given anyone, or it might be woman makes new friend waiting for coffee. Yeah. Now, in the spirit of survival of the kindest, they did this beautiful study on the Seattle fish markets many years ago to work out why people would come from all over the world to experience this amazing human connection and energy at these pikelet fish markets in Seattle. And they brought in all these consultants to work out what the hell is going on here. And they came up with what's known as the FISH principle. Now, FISH is not an acronym, but it does stand for 4 things, right? And it's a beautiful way to start your day. FISH stands for 4 things. The first one is smile, which is the universal language of kindness. The second one is be present. It's one of the greatest forms of self-compassion you can ever give yourself. The third one is choose your attitude, and you can choose confidence or kindness. And the fourth one is make their day. So try that today. Practice kindness and compassion today. Start with yourself, then someone you know, and then move on to someone you don't know. And definitely practice random acts of kindness because it unlocks oxytocin, the happiness drug, serotonin, the connection drug, and dopamine, especially when you come up with new ideas. Yeah. And if you're working today, the greatest customer service strategy on the planet is called surprise and delight. Effectively, random acts of kindness. Yeah. This week's episode was brought to you by one of my favorite brands in Australia at the moment. It's called the Style Cantina. And this is their signature label. Be kind, it's gangster. Yeah. So get around it and get around Michelle with an amazing brand, although this sells out almost as soon as it goes live. And make kindness and compassion really freaking cool again. As Mark Twain once said, kindness is the language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see. And I really like that. So be kind. It's gangster. That's it for today. Don't forget to enroll in our masterclass on September 29th. And until next time, I will love you and leave you and see you on the other side in the soup. Bye for now.